All right, today I was just going to touch on real quick some engines that are older. They are Mike Trainhouse engines. I believe they're made in 2008. Sorry, the box says 2010. I think they ran them twice because I had these before, sold them, regretted it, got them back. Not the same ones, but um, so I'm thinking I might have got the newer ones. I'm not sure what changed. But anyway, they decided to put the speakers in the fuel tank. And when I was starting out with installs, there's many times where I would try to get a speaker in the fuel tank. I remember having a Kato switcher, and it's just one solid mass. So I milled a very small slot, and back then I was messing with Loc sound. I think it's a 3.5 version. So I made a very small slot on each side, and I was able to put the decoder in there and then run the wires down, and I had to mill out a channel to put the speaker. And the speaker needs a little bit of airspace. A lot of people overlook that. These are like the 1-inch speakers. I'm fairly certain they're the Soundtrax ones. The little cup that's in there, because I'm not going to strip this all the way down to do what I'm going to do. The little cup that was in there is so small, the magnet pretty much touches it. And with it sealed up that way, that's just a horrible design for the sound. So I've got a video on this install, and I don't know how it ended up being almost 2 hours, but it's on my site if you want to see that. So what I'm doing today is I've learned over time that any locomotive that has speakers in the fuel tank are going to collect debris. Back when I was doing installs on a regular basis, I had many people say, I think my speaker's blown, and I would look, and first thing I'd look for is the speaker or speakers in the tank, and if so, let's have a look. And I don't know where all these shavings come from, but if you have speakers in your tank, either you know this, or if you don't, you just think your speaker's half blown. It's because it's just picking up all those shavings, and they're dancing around on, it's like a plastic material, a very, very thin plastic membrane for the cone, and it gives the sound of distortion because they're jumping around down there, and it makes sound. So what I'm doing, and I'm just, I guess, passing this along because it's something different. Some people might cringe when they see this because, yeah, they're out in the open now. I know when I put them in place, I used like a little CA in all four corners and put them in a little cap. And then the two sides of this, when you lift in the middle, you can separate these. And I'm not sure that I have to, but I did on the last one. And underneath it is the metal, and then you see this lip that I left. I just take a Dremel, a very small one, very carefully, go close to the edge all the way around, stopping many times to vacuum, so I can see what I'm doing, and of course to be extremely careful not to hit the speakers. I could have taken the shell off. I just opted not to. It's probably best to do that. And in the other video, I go into the detail. Up in the trucks here, they say you have to pull the truck apart. That is not true. It's probably not going to pick up well on this. I'm just using a phone, but you can, if you use a flashlight, you'll find it. There's a tab that you can go through with a small screwdriver on each side, and you want to push those. I believe it's away. It's in my video of the install. So there are two little tabs in the front, two little tabs in the back, and I do remember you're gonna have to pull some of these handrails loose because the walkway is separate from the body, and I just remember having to do that, and I was like, I don't want to mess with it. I've got a steady enough hand, but I can understand if people would be concerned, again, because you're so close to the speaker and don't want to damage it. It might just be a good idea to take it apart to do this. And then after I had, I still have it on there. I used a very small, I'm not sure, is it going to pick that up very well? Yeah, there you go. It kind of has a little bit of a taper to it, and I wish it didn't, but it does the job. That gets me roughly where I want to be. And then I step up to this, I'm not sure what it's called, but I know they use it many times for drywall. You can put a little adapter on here, and this will poke through the drywall, and then you can just, like a router, cut. And that's what I use on the last stage, and it takes a good steady hand. You want to make sure you're kind of braced against the tank, not something that can move, and just very careful. I got it on the lowest setting. I don't want anything getting hot, and just working my way around. And it doesn't have to be perfect, and just keep cleaning as you go. And then the last step I did on this model is I used a 1/2 inch 9/16. You'll find that when you go to do this, if you're going to do this, that this fits in here nicely. I don't have to put, I can hear the membrane making a little noise when I'm touching it. This is just a sandpaper that's sticky on the back, and it doesn't go right to the edge. It's a little hard to tell here, but when I'm sliding it across the surface, the sandpaper's not touching anything, so I know it's not going to hit the speaker. So anyway, once I sand that and get it nice and smooth, then I have a little vacuum here that I've been using as I do it to keep everything clean. You don't want a bunch of gunk building up in your trucks with the gears and all. And then I used a little brush just to get up. There's a little bit of a lip yet to get up underneath there. And then I have a compressor. I went out there and hit it with some air, but you don't want to be right on it. These are pretty fragile. Okay, you don't want to damage those. Too much air pressure on or suction from the vac could damage them. But I've been wanting to take these to a layout, and I just wouldn't, because I knew I was just going to clean up their layout for them and get home and have all this stuff stuck in there. And I didn't notice it until just now. There's a piece right there. I have no idea where it came from, and the screen is doing its job. But I did this one first because it had a tiny little rattle, and by the time I was done, there was a little metallic piece of something. And you can use a magnet, but it tends to want to grab the whole cone, and it can be a little touchy. I usually just take a piece of tape, and I like to put it on my fingers a few times so it's not too tacky, and just go in there very carefully and kind of dab, because the ones that I would fix for people, the whole cone down here in this inner circle would be covered with shavings of all different sizes. And I just had to kind of take my time and work around it with the tape to get that off. If your hand's steady enough, I don't have it pulled because I just cleaned up this area only to pull a bunch of tools out again. If you do have, say, like the Soundtrax wand or a magnet, if you've got, brace yourself against the tank and go around there. Try not to let it snap right down on it. That's where damage can occur. You can get most of the heavier stuff because it's going to want to jump to that magnet. But the finer stuff, you're going to want to use. I've used regular tape, electrical tape. But like I said, I like to roll it across my finger a time or two so it's not too tacky. Because again, you don't want to damage the cone. And if you pull up on an angle, you might actually, because there's a coil that goes into the magnet, and that can be getting contorted in there. So just want to be delicate with it. Anyway, if you've got, it's not just this locomotive. Any locomotive that's got the magnet in the tank, I just thought I'd throw this video out there if you're having some distortion and you want to get in there, or if you're not comfortable and you know somebody that messes with them, have them get in there and clean it. You don't have to do what I did. They're vulnerable being out there, but how many times am I going to be like jamming my fingers in there? I always pick up every locomotive from the side of the tank, and that seems to be universal. I made the mistake of trying to pick up a Kato from the frame, and those from my memory just seem to come apart pretty easily. But that was a long time ago. Maybe they changed the design. But I've never, ever had a problem just picking up from the tank. And this way, if I go to run these on a layout, and it does pick up garbage, and it will eventually. I don't care how clean the layout is. I can very easily access them. So if you're having that distortion sound and they're in the tank, have a look at that before you go and think your speaker needs to be changed, because you'll keep thinking you're going through speakers when it's really just a debris problem.